All right. So our next Rosie talk, we have Dr. Sarkar. She's joining us live from the Phoenix campus. So to briefly introduce her, Dr. Sarkar has a PhD in chemical engineering, has developed 2 patents in her professional career, and has evolved into a serial entrepreneur. Her passion is to empower individuals, especially women, to create a harmonious life and excel in their pursuits with confidence, respect, dignity, and excellence. Her overcoming of many societal dogmas pertaining to women has shaped her character, and through her businesses, she is serving toward building sustainable communities by creating social and societal change. So help me welcome Dr. Scott.
Hello, everybody. Hello, ladies. Everybody up? Awake? I know it's cold. We all had food. So I just want to make sure everybody is up. Yes?
Yes.
Everybody with me?
Yes.
Because there will be a quiz. So by the way, I want to give a big shout out to the BBV team here because I got a lot of compliments today because I'm wearing the t-shirt. People assume I work with BBV. I love that I'm an honorary team member with BBV. So good job, you guys. This has been such a phenomenal event. Thank you for organizing this. Thank you to all the sponsors for making this happen. I have walked away with a lot of value so far. I'm looking forward to the future talks as well. So my name is Jayashree Sarkar. You can call me Jay. As Tiara mentioned, my life has been shaped by the dogmas, the biases, prejudices I've faced throughout life. I come from the wonderful country of India. As wonderful and colorful it is, the judgments are also very colorful and strong. Because women, it is changing now, right? But women are expected to play a certain role in a cubicle, raise kids, cook, clean, right? But growing up, I grew up in a very different culturally diverse rather, environment. So I grew up in a city called Hyderabad. Half of the population was Muslim, half of the population was Hindu. There was a small population that was Christian. I went to a convent school, grew up in a Hindu family, and was surrounded by a Muslim community. So in my mind, we were all just the same, right? But not spoke, but I overheard elders speaking, I would hear these prejudices about region. My family is from the eastern part of India. I grew up in the southern part. We spoke completely different languages, ate different meals. Yeah, same country, but food is very different. So to me, it was a mixture of a lot of great things. That's how I chose to see the world. But I saw around me, the world was segmented in people's beliefs about religion, about, oh, color is a big thing in India if you didn't know. In India, there's a market for fairness creams. I don't know what that does, but there is a market for that. So having seen all that, and women, right? That is one of my biggest pet peeves. Whenever anybody told me, oh, you're a girl, you can't do that, I said, watch me and follow. Because there was no other choice for me. I did not want to be dictated or my potential be determined by somebody else's limitations, regardless of whether it was a male or female, right? In that process, I started to understand that we all have tremendous potential, tremendous potential. The only thing that limits us is the cages we make for ourselves with what we believe about ourselves. And those cages are many times adopted from the outside world. Outside meaning outside of us, me individually, right? For you individually. Somebody says something about our looks, right? How often have we judged our potential be judged or competence be judged because we are women? How we look, how we dress, And that's so unfair, right? And that is one of the reasons I am on this mission. This is my life's mission to create social change, where we stop looking at ourselves as a woman, a man, a person of color, or we all have color. It's just different shades. Imagine colorless people. We'd be transparent, right? But where we all can look at each other with equal amount of respect and respect each other as human beings, not as a segment of the human race. So with that, actually, on all of your tables, you have a sheet like this. The reason I share this is these are women of different shades, women who had challenges in their own rights, but who blaze trails, sorry, that was flip, who blazed trails for all of us to follow. Imagine being the first US Secretary of State, the first woman Secretary of State. Do you think she was accepted? Do you think she had it easy? No, she didn't. Neither do we. In our own spaces, neither do we. But the reason these women are on the sheet is because they did not allow somebody else's assessment of them to become their destiny. They said, I choose to be who I want to be. And they were not afraid to work hard. We heard from so many speakers today, don't be afraid to speak up. Don't be afraid to own your train. Don't be afraid to go out there and whoever you want to be, don't be afraid to do that. Because how many of us needed permission to be us? Anybody took a permission slip at birth? Can I be me? No, no, right? We don't need anybody else's permission. What we do need is acceptance. A little bit from my story. Can we share the slide, please? Thank you. A little bit from my story. How many of us would love to wake up every day and say, this is my day of excellence? I love how much energy children have and how much curiosity. And I know each and every one of us within ourselves holds that curiosity. My goal is to bring that out of every individual that I can come across throughout my lifetime. It's a big goal, but it starts with a small step. So this is the small step. Can we go to the next slide, please? So my journey. What you see here is Imagine Next Gen. That's the company I've launched recently, and big shout out to the Empower by GoDaddy team. Because of them, in 8 weeks, I could go from ideation to launch. And a big shout out goes out to them. Thank you. If you all have not looked into the Empower program, I highly recommend. It's amazing. What we experienced here, imagine that lasting over 8 weeks. How will your business transform, right? Uh, so the journey of Imagine Next Gen started early in December of 2021. We heard a lot of stories about overcoming. This was the hardest overcoming of my life. I lost my mom. With that, I lost both my parents. And to me, they were my world. The only people in the entire world I spent the most amount of my time with, right? And when my mom left, I thought, why am I here? The people, I took care of my parents for a long time. So to me, I lost my kids. So how do you live after that? How do you move on? One thing I knew is I did not want to be in that slump. Why? Because I had a responsibility. My husband and I, we own a business called Achiever's Legacy. And we provide air and water purification systems. Very simple business, but we have a phenomenal team. And that team relied on me being okay. Right? That team relied on me not being sad and depressed all the time. I'm not putting down the loss or the pain, but there is a way to process it. I did not want to be hopeless in life. So I told myself, what is your strength? My strength is planning. Use your strength, pick up the pieces. What can you do to make sure you can move on? That is where Imagine Next Gen started. And as I went through that transition and I worked with our clients, our team, I heard a need. Hey, can you do something? If when I was a teenager, I was going through a rough patch. If you had a program like that, it would help me. Nothing in Imagine Next Gen came out of my imagination. It came out of listening to people who have a need. So we are still evolving. We are still figuring out a lot of things. But I know one thing. Our mission is like absolutely pure. Our mission is to help people go through transition. How many of us know that emotional challenges make us look at ourselves very differently? Many times we don't believe in ourselves. We question our abilities. All the negative stuff we've heard about ourselves, how many of us have experienced them coming right in front of us as a movie? And we start to believe that negative movie about ourselves. Yes? Those are the moments where we can learn to change. It will not be easy, but I will guarantee you one thing. It will be much easier than continuing down that path. That is what we do in Imagine Next Gen, to help people understand what they're going through, create a framework that they want to live in. How many of us want to live other people's lives? Anyone? No? Nobody wants to trade their life? No, right? So we want to live our own lives. Yes? If we want to live our own lives, isn't it our responsibility to determine where we want to go, what we are okay with and what we are not? Can we move on to the next couple of slides, please? And I didn't stick to my slides, but that's our mission. And this is available online, so you guys can read it later, right? This is a big one, feelings. How many of us have feelings? Right? How many of us feel great at times when we win? Not so great at times when we don't win. Anyone feel happy when we don't win? No, right? Whenever we have feelings, we have to understand feelings don't define us. Feelings are like indicators, right? Anybody had dust storm notifications? Feelings are like notifications. They notify, hey, something needs attention. One thing I do want everybody to walk away with is our feelings do not need anybody's validation. Unfortunately, when we are not happy, we seek validation. Our feelings do not need somebody else's validation. Instead, it needs our own acceptance. I am sad. It's okay to say that. I am not feeling myself today. It's okay to say that. I am depressed. It's okay to say that. Because we are human beings who go through a lot of emotions. Never let anybody tell you how you need to feel, what you should feel, how everybody else feels in this situation, because you're not in their shoes and they're not in yours, right? So whenever you go through a negative emotion, accept it that you're going through it. Trust me, it'll make the journey much easier, because then we get to exercise our choices. There's so many occasions where I thought I didn't have a choice, because I thought my immediate response, how immediately we have this trigger response. I thought I didn't have a choice. That was my natural response. It's not true. That's what I have trained to do so far. I can train myself to do better. Anybody watch Frozen? Frozen 2, rather. Do you remember when she loses her sister? The song is all about doing the next right thing. That is where the transformation happens. Thank you. Can we go to the next slide? So is it okay if I take a couple of minutes? Okay. So our mind, I want us to understand this. Going through what I did helped me realize my mind wanted to feel protection that I have people who are in my corner, right? Security, that I have a go-to place. If I'm in trouble, I have my parents to run to, right? Pleasure of knowing I can share my special moments with somebody that is so close to me, or a comfort of knowing I'm having a bad day, just call my mom, right? But I understand that once I lost her, it could not be repaired no matter what I did. So I had to understand there must be a way of existence that is empowering, that I don't feel the lack. So I realized our mind can rewire itself, right? Our neural transmitters can rewire and create new thinking pathways that are designed specifically to where we want to go. So far, what we have thought has brought us to where we are today. But if we determine where we want to go, I remember one of the speakers, she was sharing about having a plan made her feel confident, right? She's not there at her goals just yet, but she knows she's on track and it gives her confidence. Yes? If we can do that, it helps us give confidence. That's the business I'm in, building people's confidence and self-image. So the frame of work that we want to work with is learning to accept our feelings, accept ourselves as we are. Acceptance doesn't mean, okay, fine, this is how I'm going to be for the rest of my life. Acceptance means I am this person, good and bad both. What do I want to change and what do I want to become? That is acceptance. Facing our fears is a big one. There is no way around fears. We have to go through them. And it is scary to go through them. I know, because when I lost my mom, it was my biggest nightmare. I was in the middle of that storm. I had no escape. I had to face it. But when we face it, it helps us grow our perspective, how we see things, how we learn to accept each other. It changes. And through that journey, I learned about compassion in a light that I never understood before. And I understood that, just like our previous speaker, she was talking about physical exercise, movement. Yes? Just move, do something. Our mind is exactly like our body. It needs to move in directions it has not moved yet. Otherwise, it goes stale. Otherwise, have you heard of the term empty mind is devil's workshop? That is essentially what it means. If we are not exercising our mind, it is continuing to work in the old patterns. And what happens when we get comfortable? We stop doing important things. Just want to relax. And before we know it, we are uncomfortable again. Yes, our comfort zone decreases. I think you were sharing, right? Our comfort zone decreases. Can we go to the next slide, please? So the frame of operation is to understand self-worth. Our worth doesn't come from somebody else's perspective. Our worth comes from what we believe in, what we choose to believe in. Sometimes we may not even have the qualities. For example, I never thought I could stand in front of such wonderful women and speak, because I am a super introvert person. And I know you guys probably have noticed I don't speak to a lot of people. It is just not natural to me. Not that I don't like people. Somebody walks up to me, I will speak. And I have been speaking for the last 15 minutes, but that's not natural to me. To walk up, I don't have the guts to walk up to somebody and say, hey, my name is Jay. What do you do? Right? That doesn't matter. It's me. And I'm okay with that. I accept that. Right? In order to understand mental exercises, there's 7 mental exercises that are absolutely essential to build what is called self-worth. It's not what I deserve. It is not I should have or would have. It is who am I? It's creating the context of who I am, right? The mental exercise of acceptance. What does it require? It requires us to suspend judgments. Can we accept anything that we judge? No. We will never be able to accept something we internally are judging, right? So to accept ourselves, we cannot judge ourselves. To accept others, we cannot judge others, right? Compassion. Compassion doesn't mean sympathy. Compassion means understanding that the feelings I'm going through, you are going through, they are real. We are feeling them. They are real. They have to be addressed. Treating people with kindness, and ourselves, most importantly, right? Anybody, when we make a mistake, tell ourselves, it's okay, you're great, don't worry about it. No, when we make a mistake, what do? Oh, you're just so clumsy, right? We are the first ones who put ourselves down. That's not kindness. To have kindness, we need to have respect. To treat somebody with kindness, it takes respect, right? We need to learn to respect ourselves first. Having patience requires us to be authentic. I cannot pretend to be somebody and then try to be authentic with you. It's just fake, right? Understanding requires selflessness. Persistence requires a strong why, a purpose that your life is dedicated to. What is it that you want to live for? It doesn't matter how big or small it is compared to somebody else's. It's your life, your context. What moves you? In the back of this, there's a worksheet that you can work through and see what helps you. And the reason I shared these wonderful women and their quotes is whenever you have a moment where you are not feeling 100%, just read through those quotes. It'll take you probably 2 to 5 minutes to go through them. It'll change your frequency just like that. Because strong women have a way to strengthen us. We just have to rely on them, right? Can we go to the next one? Oh, in doing these exercises, important thing, we bring clarity, we bring focus, discipline. It requires a lot of discipline. I'll give you an analogy. I learned this from my mentor. He said, our mind is like a horse. Horses have tremendous power. They run fast, they're amazing, they're free. How many of us understand if left alone, our mind runs in all kinds of directions? It's like a horse. That same horse, put a leash on it. It can move mountains. It can build pyramids. Our mind is just like that. When we learn to discipline it, build that context for our life, it can build the marvelous life we desire, that we design. Not by default, not something somebody handed us, but we design it and we build it. That is why it's important to understand who we are, right? Self-worth is what is the belief I hold about myself within me and my abilities, right? And understand this, our businesses will never outgrow our self-worth. It will never outgrow our self-worth because what we see is the limit we put. Remember we talked about prisons we build for ourselves? Our self-worth is that ceiling we build for ourselves. For that, what are our core values? What is it that I will never compromise? And what is it that I will always live by? Understanding those boundaries, now we operate with confidence. Because we already know we're not going to compromise something. And we know that this is what I will stand for no matter what. Now we know how to live confidently, right? And understanding what is giving my life meaning, purpose. What am I willing to commit to? Without commitment, there is no excellence. Yes? So understanding that builds the context that brings us clarity, focus, and self-respect. And in the process, we grow our self-worth. It's a process. It's not something you will arrive at. It's a process that you continuously renew, just like Mother Nature. Anything that stops growing dies. Similarly, when we stop growing our mind, mental capacity, our potential begins to die. With that, I'm done. Thank you. I know I went way over time, but thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Jay. It is making me smile so big to see you on the screen today and to have you present. You are absolutely incredible, and watching you grow through the Empower program was amazing. So thank you so much for being here. Absolutely incredible.